In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this broken Sony PSX. The Sony PSX is basically a combination of a PlayStation 2 and a digital video recorder. This device was sent to me by one of my Patreon members, Marcel, so thank you Marcel for sending this in. This video is sponsored by JLC PCB. Marcel said that this front panel doesn't work, so let's get it plugged in and see what we find. Let's try the power button. Okay, we got a green light there. The disk drive makes noise when we press the eject button. These buttons don't feel like they do anything when I press them, so that could be the problem. So I think what I want to do now is get this plugged into my TV, see what kind of connections we got back here. We've got S-Video, it looks like. I'm not sure if I still have an S-Video cable around. I probably do somewhere, so let's get that plugged into the TV and see if we get anything up on the screen. So we got a picture on the screen now. The problem though is that these buttons in the front right here, they don't work. I'm not even pressing any buttons and just, this keeps moving. Oh, it stopped now. Let's push it just, there we go. If I push it just a little bit, then it'll move those, but not all. Oh, that one works, sort of, but then it goes back here. So I'm guessing this little panel right here is what Marcel was talking about that we have a problem with. So let's get this thing apart and see what's going on. The Sony PSX was released in Japan only in December of 2003. The high cost of $849 US resulted in very few sales, so it was not released outside of Japan. Right now you can get one on eBay for $180 to $350 depending on the model. This PSX is a later model, it's a DESR 7000. So I imagine this one would bring a little bit higher price than some of the others. One of the cool things about this is it has a PlayStation 2 built into it, so you can put memory cards in this. You can also hook up controllers right to this device and just play games right from it. I've never tried to repair one of these before. In fact, I've never even seen one in person, so this one should be fun. Okay, and there are no ribbon cables, no anything connected to this cover. The cover is pretty dirty, so we'll need to do some cleaning on that. But let's take a look at the inside. So this has a lot of very large chips on it, which makes sense because this board is doing so many things. Now there are several smaller boards on this that connect into this one, but this is clearly the main board. And since this console DVR combo just does so many things, it's got to have a lot of different chips to do that. Now the part we're going to focus on today are these little buttons right over here. Now just taking a look at them, I don't see or feel any problems. They're nice and clicky. So I'm not sure why when we had the case on the buttons weren't working correctly, but let's give these buttons a test and make sure they're working properly. Now to test each of these buttons, we have our meter in continuity mode, so it will beep when there is continuity. So when I put one lead here, I should be able to press the button and we should hear a beep. That tells us that when we press the button, that is making contact between these two pins. So no beep right now, but a beep when we press the button. Let's try this one. At first, it wasn't really... Okay, so we might have a dirty button there. That one's good. And maybe the same thing here. And possibly the same thing here. And the same thing there. So I think one of the things going on here is that some of these buttons are dirty. Now we probably could clean them with the board oriented how it is, but I want to see the other side of the board anyway, so let's take the board out and then we can really get to the back side of those buttons as well. Sometimes you might not remember where the screws go that you've taken out. On some boards, they'll have little arrows that give you hints to where the screws go. So on this board, I don't need to remember where each of these screws go because they're all the same size and I just follow the arrows. There's an arrow there and an arrow on all the other places that the screws go. This hole right here did not have a screw, but there's also not an arrow there. And here is the top side of the board with some even larger chips on the top side. It is pretty dirty here, so I'm glad we took this part apart so we can give it a nice good cleaning. And then under here we have another board down here, another board over here. Looks like this is the power supply. We've got the fan here, which we need to remove and clean because it's very dirty. And looks like we got the hard drive right over here, and then the disk drive right over here. I do want to get this fan out and clean it real quick, and I want to get it done right now before I forget because it's very dirty and needs to be cleaned. And that's basically pretty much almost perfect, sort of. And now this fan is ready to be reinstalled. Now that the fan's clean, let's take a look at those buttons. JLC PCB is one of the best places to get your custom PCBs manufactured and assembled. And one of the best parts about JLC PCB is their full service website. You can order your custom PCBs and track the manufacturing process in real time. Once you're on the order page, all you have to do is add your Gerber file. Then you can select the layers, dimension, the quantity, design, and all of these other options all right from their website. So as you can see, ordering your custom manufactured PCB from JLC PCB is super easy. Once you have all your customizations made, all you have to do is save it to your cart, then JLC PCB will get it manufactured and sent to you quickly. With 16 years of PCB manufacturing experience, JLC PCB has a well-trained engineering and customer support team. This ensures that not only will you get the best product, you'll also get excellent customer service. You can go right to jlcpcb.com to check out their services. I'll put a link in the description that'll take you right there. So I think our best bet with these buttons is to use some BW100 to clean around each of these buttons, and hopefully that will soak down into the button, and then we can press on it a whole bunch of times, and hopefully that'll be enough to clean the gunk out of the buttons. Now I'm gonna go through and spin each of these buttons because sometimes just the contacts inside the buttons can kind of wear out from being pressed in the same place all the time. So when I spin them, that will make it so they're contacting a different part inside the button. So now I'm just gonna keep spraying some more cleaner in here and pressing on the buttons. I'll skip through most of it though, since you kind of see how I'm doing it. So what we wanna do is put our probes right on those 2 points right there. Then I'm gonna press the button and we should hear a beep right when I press it. Just like that. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, good. Oh. So I think these buttons are in good condition now. I'm not totally sure if that's the only problem with this board, but I think maybe that was the only problem. I hope it was. Also, when this cover was on, so these are the buttons that I was working with right here. When this cover was on, it seemed like they didn't really press in how they should, so I'm wondering if maybe this wasn't like snapped down all the way or something. So we'll check that carefully when we put it back together. To really check this board though, I'm gonna put the board back in the device right now and then leave that cover off and just push the buttons without that cover on. Then we'll see how well the buttons themselves work. Then we'll put that cover back on and see if we can get those buttons on the cover aligned with the physical buttons on the board. Since it's probably been a while since this has been cleaned, you know, probably a couple decades, I'm just gonna give this a bit of a cleaning real quick, just to make sure we get any loose dust and debris out of here. And now I feel better about putting this board in here. And that should be together enough to test. Let's check it out. Okay, and without that top cover on, these buttons all work just fine. They work just how they should. We can go up and down, and back up and over. So we know that without the cover on, it works fine. So let's get this cover on and then see how it works and see if there's something that needs to be adjusted or see if that just wasn't snapped down or something. Okay, these are all nice and clicky now. I think what was going on is number one, the buttons were dirty, but number two, I'm guessing this case was somehow misaligned a little bit. So now I'm gonna hook it back up and see if it'll work with this cover installed. So when I have all the weight on it of the whole thing, the buttons just bind up. So I can't even press them right now. So there's something. Okay, so when I just have the device up like this, I can't press the buttons hardly at all, but if I push down right here, then they work fine. I think a hint to what might be going on is if with this metal plate right here, it looks like it bows back this way, and then it's also bent. It's bent up a little bit right here, and then right here it's bent. You can see where it's been rubbing on another one of the metal pieces on the inside of the device. So I think what we need to do is try and bend this thing back. That is much more straight. There's no bends in these metal legs down here. I also noticed that there is these little tabs right here that look like they go in a particular place, and I think that will also help if we can get those lined up correctly. Those little tabs I just showed you need to go right there, and then there's another slot right over here. So those need to slot right in there, and I think that will make that bottom case line up correctly to those buttons. Okay, so far so good. How does it work? Oh, there we go. Each of those buttons works perfectly. Oh, look at this, beautiful. My cable seems to be a little bit dirty, but we do have the screen up now. So let's go left. Good. Back to the right. Good. Let's go down and then back up. So there we go, and the buttons on this PSX are all fixed. If you want to see a video of me going through and testing the rest of the features on this PSX and then fixing anything else that needs to be fixed, just let me know down in the comments section and maybe we can do that in a future video. Thank you to JLC PCB for sponsoring this video. If you want to see a video where I bought a broken original Xbox and try to fix it, I'll put that up on your screen now, so come hang out with me over there and see if I could fix that one. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.